Let's get paid, y'all. Live dogs in the
What's going on, guys? UFC 317 is upon us. We have Charles Oliveira taking on Ilia Topuria. This is a hell of a fight card, guys. Probably one of my favorites. Want to apologize, I haven't been doing these lately. Won a lot of money earlier this year. I'm just out here enjoying it, doing some traveling. I am in Southeast Asia. We don't have good Wi-Fi all the time, but I've been trying to bring the picks and the bets when I can. I think we fell off a bit. We had a really hot start for the year, and now we're getting back on track, so I'm very excited about that. Decided I want to continue to make these videos when and wherever I can. So without further ado, let's bust it wide open. The first fight on the card is going to be, excuse me, let me get my, see who they got first here. We got Niko Price versus Jacoby Smith. Jacoby Smith is going to win. I just think he's more powerful, more explosive, younger, great wrestling background. Niko Price is a guy who has won some dog money for me in the past. One of my favorite fighters, or at least he was back in the day. But I feel like, you know, even though he's only 35, he's really much more like 40, 45 out there. You can see that he's slowing down. My cat is here. If y'all follow me, you know. He makes appearances from time to time. Sorry about that. Yeah, man. I think Jacoby Smith should be able to get this one done. Then we have Jonathan Deniz versus he's got a replacement, Alvin Hines. Yeah, Alvin Hines is actually going to give him more trouble than Tafa was. I think Alvin Hines is a big, strong, aggressive guy. Not going to make any accusations, but, you know, fighting from a different organization, he may be on a little bit of juice. Coming in here with all that size, all that muscle, all that strength. But he looks like a natural athlete, so, you know, I really don't know. I'm just saying the guy's a brute, man, and I think he can take down Jonathan Deniz. I think we could have another Topuria incident here. The longer the fight goes, the more I favor Hines. Neither one of these guys are going to have great cardio. Deniz has really good striking, but, man, I think he's overrated. I picked Topuria to beat him. I picked him to lose a couple fights, actually, but he's shown out. But he hasn't really impressed me, and I'm going to take Alvin Hines. I mean, at plus 165, if he can get through that, if he can get the range or if he can close the range, get a takedown, I don't think Deniz can get back up. And Hines can throw some leather, man. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take Hines here, and that's my first underdog of the night. Then we have Cedric Dumas versus Jackson McVeigh. Jackson McVeigh, I believe he's coming from the LFA. This guy's got nothing but finishes, and he is going to be a little bit bigger than Cedric Dumas. Cedric Dumas, man, I think he's got too much going on in his life. I just don't trust him right now. I'm actually going to take the underdog here as well. I'm going to take Jackson McVeigh to get the upset. This is a little bit short notice, and so that does worry me. But last I heard, Cedric Dumas was getting arrested, breaking into people's houses, doing stupid shit. I just don't think his head's in the game, and I don't think he had a lot of talent in the first place. So, I mean, I don't know, man. If I'm going to bet, I'll probably take the dog here, too. I'm going to give me Jackson McVeigh. Also, you know, McVeigh, it's a pretty dangerous last name. If you're familiar with some of the terrorism we've had in the U.S. in the past, like the 90s. Yeah, got some bodies, man. So, yeah, Jackson McVeigh. Jackson and McVeigh is a powerful name, so let's go with him. Terrence McKinney versus Vladislav Borshov. We got Slava Claus. Man, I'm either going to do really good or really bad on this card, because I'm also going to take... You know what? I'm going to take Terrence McKinney. And the reason is, I was really leaning towards Borshov, but I'm going to flip here on the fly here. And the reason is because, you know, I think Slava Claus's durability is going down a bit. You know, I'm starting to see him getting hurt a little bit more. I'm starting to see some more defensive holes in his game. And Terrence McKinney does have a little bit of wrestling, and we've seen him being a slightly more patient lately. I do think Borshov is live because I feel like he's a much more technical striker. And, you know, is a more durable person at the end of the day. But I do think that in these early exchanges, Terrence McKinney can shine. I'm not confident on it. Probably won't bet it, but I will go with Terrence McKinney. Tracy Cortez versus Vivian Araujo. I had Araujo early. This is a very winnable fight for her. This is another one I would not bet. I think that Vivian Araujo can pretty much do anything that Tracy Cortez can. But I'm going to take Tracy Cortez just because I do think she's got a little bit of an edge in the wrestling and the striking here. I like her competition lately. Being in there with Rose should make her a better fighter, having that 5-round experience. But this is another one where there is value on the dog, especially in a women's fight like this. One thing I can tell you is I do believe it's going over, so look into the over, and let's lean Tracy Cortez. Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. This is another close fight, man. You got Hyder Emil, who is a guy who's not known for getting finished, not known for losing, doesn't have any losses, has equally fought the same competition that Delgado has, probably better. I have picked him as an underdog at least twice, maybe 3 times. He's been my live dog of the week twice, has cash for me. I'm a big fan of this guy. I'm living here in the Philippines, and he is a Filipino fighter, which is really cool. There's not a lot of them in the UFC. He's a friendly guy too. If you reach out to him, he'll most likely respond as long as you don't have any nonsense. And Delgado, he seems kind of like this new hot prospect that's coming out with these dangerous hands. He's got a lot of really good knockouts, and he's kind of flashy. Let me see. I think he's going to have some range on him too. But I don't think that's going to matter with a guy like Hyder Emil, because Hyder Emil can get in close. He's one of these guys that's really good at closing distance, and he's got power, and he's training with some really good guys like Gilbert Melendez and so forth. All those guys over there. I'm gonna go with Hyder Emil. Y'all. Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodriguez. Jack Hermansson is crafty. He's a good striker. He can really, if he can stay in that middle range, he can kind of pick you apart a bit, play it safe. And he's not bad on the ground. He's not a whiz on the ground though, and he's not a durable guy. And I think that Gregory Rodriguez is gonna hurt him early. I will take Gregory Rodriguez. If you remember, I had Jared Cannonier over Gregory Rodriguez in their last fight. In fact, I hit the most significant strikes and win by TKO. Was a big bet for me. So it's not like I can't cap Rodriguez. It's not like I'm overrating Rodriguez. I just think that Hermansson at this stage is a little bit on the decline, and I still think that Gregory Rodriguez is dangerous, and dangerous enough to hurt Jack Hermansson. We have Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima. Full disclosure, I already bet Peyton Talbot as soon as I saw he was a dog, and now I instantly regret it, because Felipe Lima, I didn't really factor in his experience. I know he's an older guy, and I know he's going to be a little outsized here, but not that outsized, because Peyton Talbot's a big kid, but Felipe Lima, he's going down to bantamweight. He was fighting at featherweight where he was small, so he's still powerful. He's short and stocky. He's good on the ground. He's got more experience. I think this is another dangerous fight for Talbot. Wouldn't be upset at you if you think that Talbot's gonna, maybe his head wasn't in that fight before, but I think he just got outdone, man. I kind of regret my Talbot bet now, and so I am gonna take Felipe Lima. I think he can sub him. Outside of something tricky coming from Talbot, if he's really on his A game, look for some knees up the middle, something flashy like that. If Lima tries to take a more wrestling active approach, which he could do, but he's a good striker too. I picked him to beat the hell out of, who was that? Miles Johns. And a lot of people said that was a 50-50 fight. I didn't. I know how good he is, and I don't know why. I just thought Talbot had the edge here. I think it was because of size. But looking further into it, I'm going to go with Lima. Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Dariush is one of my favorite fighters. He's always a guy that's underlooked or underrated, but he's just got more miles on the clock. Moicano is still does not seem like his age is. And I think that is why I like Moicano here. At the end of the day, if they're swinging and Moicano is landing just as much as Dariush, at this point I feel like Dariush doesn't have as much heart and as much durability as he once did. Moicano we've seen get hurt and come back. Dariush is an okay striker, but he's not a guy that's just going to come out and put your lights out like we've seen Moicano fight and beat before. Moicano's got great submissions that can compete with Dariush. Dariush is not a guy I like to count out, but on this one, I will go with Moicano. I still think that Money Moicano's got that hunger, and I still think that he can't afford to lose, especially now that he lost, because he might go broke, right? He might get cut. So, yeah, I think Money's the play here. Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. This one is really, really tricky for me. I feel like Joshua Van is a much better striker, and has really polished up a lot of his errors and his flaws from before. He's a young kid, and he's growing so much, and he's growing fast, and he's getting better every time we see him. But he is 23 years old, and I think Royval is in his peak right now. Peak form, prime Royval, 32 years old. You know, is he durable enough? Probably, because Van doesn't really have a lot of power. He hits you. He's kind of like a Sean O'Malley. They're nothing alike, but I mean, in the way that they're not really powerful guys, but their precision and their timing and the way they find openings, more like a sniper. That is how they hurt you. And Joshua Van can, without a doubt, do that. Plus 100. I kind of like Joshua Van at dog money. I do see that being the play here if you're betting. But for pick's sake, I'm actually going to take Brandon Royval. I may regret this. I'm a big fan of Van. I have picked him most of his fights. In fact, I picked him all of his fights, except I did not bet him in the Charles Johnson fight. If y'all remember me, I said Van would be the pick. But I think that Charles Johnson's a good dog because of his length, his size, and his experience. Van was beating him. We saw what happened. He did lose. I wish I made that the official pick. But if you watch the video, you did. Maybe you made that bet as I did. Yeah, I think this is a close one that I'm probably gonna stay away from. But as far as picks go, I will take Brandon Royval. And then we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France is a kid that I've liked since he was on The Ultimate Fighter. You know, there were not a lot of flyweights that were bringing power like he was, and it was fun to watch. It was impressive, and it's been that way all along. For a while, he struggled to get knockouts, but I think he's gotten better. How old is Kai Kara-France? Because that might have something to do with it. Just 32. So, you know, I think he's in his prime now. Now, we have really talked about that prime coming later for the heavier guys, and that prime coming earlier for the lighter weight classes. I'm not so sure about that anymore, because if you look at some of these, you know, ranked flyweights, some of these you know, big names in the division. And let me just double check. Yeah, Brandon Moreno is 31 and a half. Royval is 32. Kai Kara-France is 32, and they've never looked better. So I think that 29 to 33 range is kind of where we're at everywhere, except for maybe heavyweight, right? So Kai Kara-France is going to be a powerful striker, can stand with anybody. Pantoja is not going to outstrike Kara-France, but he is going to get an opportunistic submission. I've seen Kai in those positions before, getting submitted, or damn near getting submitted in quite a bit of fights. He overcommits to his strikes. You know, is Pantoja... I cannot talk today, y'all. I'm sorry. I guess it's because it's been a while since I've done a video. A little rusty. But is Pantoja going to go in there and Dagestani France and just take him down? No, he doesn't do that. He's not a great wrestler. You'll notice a lot of BJJ guys, you know, grappling and... I talk about this all the time. Grappling and wrestling is not the same. And, you know, we see a lot of them have the submissions, but they don't have the wrestling to get them down. But Pantoja is so good at mixing it up, and he's such an opportunistic submission guy. He'll find that back in a scramble. You know what I mean? In some kind of exchange, any kind of tie-up. I think Kaya France will look good until he doesn't. I do believe that he will get submitted here. So that's how I'll pick that one. I will take Pantoja, and I'm pretty confident in that. And then we have the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. It should be Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan is the best guy in this division outside of maybe Topuria, who just got here. Arman Tsarukyan is the man. I think he would have beat Islam in the last fight. I don't know why people think that the Charles Oliveira fight was close. It wasn't really that close. Charles Oliveira was never going to win that fight. Charles Oliveira is kind of tired at this point. He doesn't deserve a title shot. But the divisions and the UFC, as we've seen lately, is just throwing these title fights out and doing crazy stuff. Guys are jumping all over the place. It's a circus, man. It's an absolute circus. It definitely should be Arman Tsarukyan, and I'm praying and hoping that Oliveira gets injured so we can get Arman Tsarukyan versus Ilia Topuria, because that's the fight I want to see. But we're not talking about what I want to see. We're talking about what we're going to see, and that's Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria. And, I just think that Topuria is going to have enough to get it done. But there's some caveats, right? Charles Oliveira can sub anybody. The sub prop on Oliveira is always live. You have seen me pick against Oliveira when he fought Chandler the first time, not the second. When he fought Dustin Poirier, who's one of my favorite fighters, and Justin Gaethje. I picked him to lose all three of those fights. And for moments, it looked like it could have happened, but it didn't happen. He beat all those guys. If he can beat those guys, he can beat Topuria, who will be a little bit smaller than them. But one thing that Topuria does that those guys don't do as well, not saying they don't do it well, they don't do it as well, is get inside and close that distance. Can Topuria, being a smaller guy, do that here? That's what we're looking at. Is Topuria still going to have his power, be able to keep this fight standing, which he can because his wrestling is great? So it's all about, will he get inside and land that shot? He's better at getting inside and landing that killer shot than anyone that Oliveira has faced. So you're either picking Oliveira by sub, or you're going to pick Ilia Topuria within 2 rounds or so. Early Topuria, late Oliveira. The question is, can Topuria get inside on a larger guy and land that killer shot and still have that power? Or is he going to struggle a little bit at distance and Oliveira get to him when he's a little bit tired and get that submission, opportunistic submission like we've seen him do so many times before? I do believe that Topuria will get it done here. I think that he's just got something that Dustin and Justin and Michael didn't have when they faced Oliveira. I'm going back to the well for the 4th time now and picking a guy who's got knockout power to hurt Charles Oliveira, who we see get hurt early. But he usually recovers. But this time I don't think he will. I think that Topuria will crack him, will hurt him early, and that'll be a wrap. The book has been written on Charles Oliveira, and a win over Michael Chandler for the 2nd time at this stage of the game, it just doesn't impress me that much. But what we see Topuria do to Oliveira at UFC 317, that will impress us all. So those are my picks, y'all. Appreciate the love, appreciate the hate, appreciate the discourse. Let me know who you have down below. I'm kind of changing up how I do some things on this page. I'm brand new. I don't have a lot of followers. I'm really trying to find my niche. Let me know what you like, the short videos, the long videos, my opinions, which most people hate. But, let me know what you like down in the comments. Give me some feedback so I can start taking this to the next level. But yeah, that's it. So until I see you next time, let's get paid, y'all.
Live dogs in the mix. Live dogs in the mix.